If you're looking to add professional email marketing to your WordPress website or your WooCommerce website at absolute no cost to you, then you've come to the right place. Hi, I'm Yoda and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this email marketing tutorial for beginners, I'm going to show you how to add email marketing solutions to your WordPress website with easy to follow steps, no hidden costs, in less than 90 minutes of your time. This video will use all the current email marketing optimization techniques to apply a fully functional email marketing solution to your WordPress website using Omnisend's professional suite of e-marketing tools. Omnisend, the #1 email marketing platform for WordPress websites and WooCommerce websites, is a fully functional email marketing solution that is simple to install, easy to use, and totally free for up to 500 emails a month. So without further delay, let's go ahead and get started. And now an important disclosure. If your website is not a WordPress website or a WordPress WooCommerce website, then this video will not be compatible with your website. However, it is important to point out that Omnisend, the email marketing solution used in this video, is also compatible with many other platforms as shown here. For more details on their other solutions, please visit omnisend.com, or you can choose to use my affiliate link found in the comments below the video. So your first step is to open up a new browser. And in the first tab, we're going to log into the WordPress admin of the website that you want to add email marketing features to. In my case, that website is going to be jose1.com. So I'm going to go to jose1.com/admin. And now I'll log into the admin. And now for a second tab, I want to go to the website itself. I can right-click here, open a new tab, and there's the website that we're going to be working on. Now in a third tab, we're going to go to WebYoda.com/plugins. And now we're going to scroll down until we see a section on Omnisend email marketing. And these are the 4 options we want to use to make this process easier. And from here, we can click on this last button, Omnisend Script. And that opens up a 4th tab, which is the script to the video you're watching now. But you may ask yourself, what's the point of this? Well, in the past, when I make videos, I've always made a script to help myself make sure I don't miss anything and to guide me in a good direction. And one time when I was referring to the script in a video I made, a student said, "Hey Yoda, that's a neat script you have going on in the background. Is it possible to get access to that? That might be helpful." And ever since then, I thought that was a really good idea, so I provide the script for you as well. So in review, the first tab is the WordPress admin for the website we're going to add email marketing features to. The second tab is the website itself. The third tab is access to the resources we need to add the email marketing to our website. And the 4th tab is the script. To get started, we're going to download the free Omnisend plugins that we're going to need to add the e-marketing features to our website. So let's go to the 3rd tab. And we're going to do the first 2 here. So I'll click on WordPress plugin, and that's going to download that plugin. It shows over here that it's done. And then I'll click on the WooCom plugin. That is the Omnisend WooCommerce plugin. And once you've downloaded those 2, you'll want to make sure you know where those plugins are at, so when we go to upload them later, you'll have easy access. So in my case, I can go to the folder, and that's just in my downloads folder. But you might say to yourself, well, why do I need the WooCommerce plugin if I'm not going to do a shopping cart? Well, if that's the case, you can leave that out, but I put it in there in case on the off chance a client wants to use it later, I have access to it already. And now we're ready to install those plugins. So we go back to our first tab. We'll choose Plugins. We're going to choose Add New at the top. In a minute, we're going to click on Upload Plugins. But you're saying to yourself, hey Yoda, why didn't I just download them here? Why do we go to WebYoda? I will show you. If you go to the plugins and just narrow it down to author, and you type in, let's say, Omnisend, you'll notice that there's a whole bunch of choices. And we don't want to make the mistake of downloading the wrong ones. Next, sometimes somebody's in a hosting environment that doesn't have access to all of them, so we just want to make sure you have access to them. This way, we guarantee there's no confusion and that you have access. So we're going to choose on the Upload plugin, choose File. I'll choose Omnisend WordPress. Click Open, Install Now, Activate Plugin. Now we'll choose Add New Plugin again, Upload Plugin, choose File. We'll choose the second one. Again, if you're not going to use WooCommerce, you could skip this step. Open, Install Now, Activate Plugin. Now that our plugins are installed, we just want to make sure that they're updated. So we'll scroll down, and here's Omnisend. Update now. Update now. Now they're updated. And now we can scroll back to the top, and on the left-hand side where it says Omnisend Email Marketing, we're going to choose that link. And we're ready to connect to Omnisend. But the problem is we need to have an Omnisend account, and let's go ahead and set that up now. So we'll go to our third tab, and at this point we're going to click on Omnisend Free. Yeah, we'll accept your cookies. And this takes us to their sign-up page. And if you scroll down, you'll notice that they have 3 reasonable packages. One is free. That's one we're going to use. It only comes with 250 contacts and 500 emails a month, but that's a good way to get started, and we're going to do that today. The other is the standard, where you can have twice as many contacts and 6,000 emails. And the third is obviously the Pro plan, where you have lots of contacts, unlimited emails. So as your site grows and progresses, you'll need to make the upgrades accordingly. I can assure you, by the time you need this one, you're making plenty of money off of these email marketing campaigns to pay the $16 a month. As a side note, when your email marketing campaign reaches a point where you need to upgrade to an Omnisend paid subscription, be sure to use the promo code WebYoda to save 30% off your first 3 months. So for us, we're going to start with the free program, so let's click on the Start Free. And we have 3 different choices. We're doing the WordPress version, so it's not going to work to do the Shopify. You could sign in with Google, but I prefer doing it with email, and if you want to follow along, you'll want to use an email as well. So I'll click on that. And WebYoda already has an Omnisend account, but my client does not, so we're going to make a new one. So in this box, I'll put their email address. I'll put the new password. For me, I always choose e-commerce, meaning that I might sell something online. Non-e-commerce would be a brick and mortar place where you never, ever would sell anything online. Doesn't really matter, but we're going to pick this one just in case. We'll agree to their terms. I'll go ahead and sign up for their newsletter now, see what it's all about. Now I'll click on Sign Up. Sure, I'll save that. It says I have email, so I need to go check that email. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my email in this same tab, because I know when I'm done, it's going to bring me right back to Omnisend, and I'll still be in the same tab. So I've opened my email. The email came in. Click on that. Complete your registration. Verify the email. Click on that. And now we're ready to give them some more details about the account. I'll put YODA. Store name, Jose1 SEO Solutions. Put the full URL to your website. In our case, it's that. Now we're going to choose our platform. In the box, there's a lot of choices. If you plan on using WooCommerce at all, choose that one. If you never plan on using WooCommerce, just pick the second one. And since I don't know if they'll ever want to use WooCommerce, I don't want to have to go fix something later, I'm going to just pick WooCommerce. It'll work fine. Choose software. Scroll down. Choose none. Hit continue. Scroll down. Now you need to put in the business address for your website. So the address for Jose1 is that. And they are located in Panama City Beach. Country. It's easier just to go in the box and start typing it. United States. State. They're in Florida. And that's their zip code. They're also in Central Time Zone, so we'll leave that alone. Continue to Omnisend. And so at this point, our Omnisend account is set up, and we're ready to connect our WordPress website to our Omnisend account. So let's go ahead and close our email. We don't need that for now. And notice they have a Connect to Store button here. Don't use that one. Let's go ahead and go back to our WordPress admin, so we're all doing it the same way. We'll click on Connect Omnisend. Now, because Jose1 doesn't have WooCommerce right now, you get this little warning, but that will not affect functionality. Now we'll scroll down. We have 2 options. The first one we've already done. We created our account and we're already connected. So we want to do the second step, which is to go to API keys. So we'll choose that. Scroll down. And you should see the option to do API keys already, but if for some reason you don't, you can scroll down, choose API keys, create a key, just give it a name, API key, create key, and then you can copy the key by clicking here. Now you can close that and paste your key in there and click Connect to Omnisend. So now we've set up our Omnisend account and we've connected our WordPress website to our Omnisend account. And we just have a few more steps. So I want to go back to our third tab, which is our Omnisend. You should see 1/2 complete. If you don't see that, you can choose dashboard or choose the refresh button. It'll also take you back to the dashboard. And from here, we want to scroll down and we're going to choose the Set Brand Style button. And now we're ready to set up our brand assets for our Omnisend account, basically our logo and colors and things like that. And sometimes this is automatically populated, which is great. But in our case, it didn't populate them, and that's kind of good because now I can show you how to do it. Now for me, I made a folder that has a lot of the files and things that I need. In this case, I want that logo, so I'll choose Select File, Upload from the computer. I can drag it in if I want, so we'll drag it in like that. Now it shows right there, and I will choose Upload, and now it's in our image library, so we can close that. And now we want to set the colors, and this is one of those places where the Omnisend script comes into play. I can click on that. When I scroll down, basically everything we're doing right now is in this script. This is how I know what to do. And there's the colors. When I originally did this, I did a sample on Web Yoda. Now we're doing this one together, and we're going to do this one together. So in our case, the colors I need is that orange. So I'll go back to our Omnisend. This is our accent color. And so you can click that and choose colors, or I can just paste in the number. And now we want to see what these other two colors are. For the dark color, I'm going to use all zeros, which is black. It already is. And for the light color, it's going to be white. Basically, I use the defaults on both of those. And I never selected the file, even though we uploaded it. So we'll click on that. We'll choose that one. And then we'll select it. And now it's in there. You notice this is an animated graphic. And one of the things that comes up often is, why do they call the company Jose1? It's quite clever, actually. If you look at the 3 letters in the middle, they are the letters SEO. So basically Jose1, where SEO is their middle name. Kind of neat, right? Now for the headings, I usually use something different than the default. So we're going to go down and we're going to choose Meriwether Sands. And for paragraphs, we're going to choose a very readable font that's very common, and that's Open Sans. And that's what it kind of looks like. That gives us an idea of what we can expect. At the bottom, you could add your social media if you want. I'm not going to do it in this example. So all we have to do now is save our brand assets. And all the time, you're going to see these little pop-ups where they want to help you with stuff. And you got this video, so you don't need their help for now. So we'll just close any of those out when they happen. And now our Omnisend account is completely set up, and we're ready to proceed to the next step. But you're saying to yourself, hey, Yoda, what if I had a second store? Would I have to have another account, or could I add it to this one? I will show you. Okay, you probably weren't asking yourself that. How do I do a second store? But I want to put it in the video on the off chance that somebody does have multiple sites, because this is a good place to talk about it. If you had an extra site, you don't have to buy 2 accounts. You can have 1 account run everything within 1 account, so you only have to pay once. And to add the second account, you simply click on your name up here, and then you go to Account Management. On the left, you click on Stores, and on the right, you click on Add New Store, and that would add the new store. Public service announcement complete. So let's click on our dashboard. Now we're back to where we left off. So the next thing we need to do is add some contacts to our Omnisend account, because without contacts within our account, there's really not a lot more we can do. So to add some contacts to our account, we're going to choose Audience. Then we're going to choose Add Contacts. They have a lot of different choices for importing your contacts if you already have a list of contacts. So for example, if you had a file of all the contacts that you needed to import, you could just import that file right there. But in my case, I only have 6 sample contacts, so I'm going to add each of those contacts individually. So we're going to click on Single Contact. And I'm just going to use email addresses to create the contacts and nothing more. So I'll paste the email address in. First email address is for johndoe@webyoda.com. Scroll down. This person gave me permission to add them to the list. Add subscriber. Now we're ready for the second one. Hit Add Contacts. Now when you have John Doe, of course, we got to click on Single Contact. You're going to want to also have Jane Doe, right? Scroll down, give permission, add subscriber, and click on Add Contacts, add Single Contact. No Doe family is complete without GI Doe. And we'll give permission, add subscriber. I'm ready to add the fourth one. Click on Add Contacts, Single Contact. And for the kids, we'll want to have Play-Doh at webyoda.com, add permission, add subscribers, add new contact. And for the musically inclined, let's click on single contact. We'll want Do-Re-Mi at webyoda.com, give permission, add subscriber. And we got one more, add contacts, single contact. And if you're like me, you want to make money with your e-marketing campaign online, so let's add Let's Make Dough at webyoda.com, give permission, add subscriber. And now we have a total of 6 sample contacts. And with these 6 contacts, we'll now be able to test other features within the Omnisend environment. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and create an email campaign. And by that, I mean we're going to create an email, and then we're going to send it to our subscriber list. We have 6 contacts right now. All of them are subscribers, and we want to be able to send an email campaign out to them. The first thing we need to do is create the email. So we're going to click on Campaigns. And we've never done this before, so you'll just see a Create Campaign button here. So I'll click on that. For our subject line, I'm going to put Jose1's monthly email newsletter. The sender's name, we'll put Jose1.com. For the sender's email address, it's got the default one that's in the system, but I want it to come from a different one, so I'm going to say receive replies from a different email address. Manage those email addresses. Scroll down. I'm going to add an email address. I'll give it that email address there. Hit save. It's unverified. It's going to go to my email account. So let me go ahead and bring that up and refresh it. There it is. Sender email address verification. Click on that. There's our verification. Click Verify Sender. Successfully verified. Hit Continue. And we can close these extra tabs now. And so now when we're here, select from the emails, it's been added to our list. Now we want to enter our pre-header for the email. And notice that over here, it puts it in this way. So here it's the name, the sender. And then the pre-header is this piece right here. So when it shows up in email, that's basically what you can expect it to look like. But notice how this is kind of cut off right here. So I might just do Jose1's newsletter. And then we know it's going to fit and it looks a little nicer. We'll scroll down. And now for the campaign name, you're the only one that's going to see this. It's for internal use only. But for the sake of making it easy to understand, we'll call it Jose1 Newsletter 1. And now we can choose an email template. So I'll click on that. And now we're at their templates page, and there's a whole bunch of templates to pick from. It's unbelievable what they have already pre-set up. That's kind of nice. But what's also interesting is that there's no way to start from scratch, so you literally have to pick one to start with. So what I'm really looking for is some kind of template that kind of looks like it might be a blog page, so it'd look more like a newsletter. So let me go over here. I'm going to do Promote Products. And this kind of looks like a blog page. So it's obviously not anything like what we're going to use, but it's a good place to start with. So I'll hover over it and choose Use Template. And now we want to talk about the different things that we can do. Now, first of all, it automatically put our logo there. If for some reason it didn't put our logo there, it could have come over here to Quick Add, Add Logo, and you could drag one in there, and now you have one. Now, obviously, we don't need 2, and we may not even need 1, but we're going to leave it there for now. It also has the ability to add menus. Again, that was under Quick Add. If you wanted to add a menu, it's right there. But for our purposes, we're not going to need a menu. This is going to be a newsletter, so there's really no reason for that. So I'll delete that. Now, this would be our header. And when you click on it, it just says text right here. We will want a header. And now I'll start kind of building this in a way that works to meet my needs. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a newsletter out of the blog post that's in the Jose1 website. And basically, every time a new blog entry is created for Jose1.com, a matching newsletter will also be created that can be sent out to the subscribers. So at this point, I'm going to go over here and click on the Jose1 tab. And I'm going to choose Blog. Now I'm going to scroll down. And the example for this newsletter is going to be this particular one. So I'll go ahead and click on that to bring the blog entry up. And now from here, this is the title. So I can highlight the title, copy the clipboard, bring it over here, and then I can paste it in just like that. And now we have the title for what our blog is going to look like. But that seems kind of long, so maybe I'll shorten that a little bit, make your blog post appear on the first page. And then maybe between these two words right here, I'll put a line break so they're on separate lines. And it's got a size of 36. That's what I wanted to use. So we can leave that at the default. And now we want to replace the image. So let's go back to the blog entry. We can right-click on the image. We can choose Copy Image Address. Go back to Omnisend. We'll click on the image. And on the right side, we can replace it and upload from computer or upload from URL. We'll choose Upload from URL. Paste that in. Upload. There it is. We can hover over it. Choose Select. And now it's in our newsletter. Now at the very top, we don't need that. If I click on that, I have choices. This is delete it. This is make a duplicate. And this is if you want to save that item for later. So we're going to delete it. And you'll notice here at the top it says changes saved. That means as we're going along, it's automatically saving stuff for us, so we're not going to lose our progress. Now we're ready to add our content. And our content will just be a text box like this is. Notice these are both text boxes. But we will delete that text box because we're only going to need one of them. Now if you wanted to add a text box, you come over to Quick Add and you just drag it over. So see, everything's over here. So we really could have made something from scratch and that would have been more fun. But they wouldn't let us do that, so we're going to have to do it their way. So let me get rid of that one. And inside the text box is going to be the text that I'm going to use from the blog. So let's go back to the blog and scroll down. And now I'm going to, one by one, grab the pieces of text. So I'll grab that. And then I'll come to Omnisend. I'll highlight that. I can hit delete, so now it's empty. I can right-click. And if I paste, it puts the formatting and everything. Up here, I can undo that. If I right-click and I choose Paste as Plain Text, then it just pastes it in there as the text part only, and that's really what we want to do. Now, it's important to mention that when people read stuff in email, there's preferred text sizes to make it easier to read. And the preferred text size is somewhere between 14 pixel and 16 pixel. I prefer it to be a little bit on the larger size, so I'm going to choose 16, and that makes it a little bit bigger and easier to read. And for my headers, we'll click back on that. We did that 36 for the title. So now we've got our first paragraph from our blog. And let's go back to the blog and get the second one. It's a process, obviously. Go back to Omnisend, a couple enters, right-click, paste plain, go back over here. I don't need these links, so I'm going to skip by that. Now here is a header. And so I'm going to make the headers a little bit bigger. So we're going to take this and we're going to copy this whole section. Just remember, this is a header. This is bold. That's regular text. I'll copy that to the clipboard. Now when you right click, you can choose copy, but I'm doing Control-C to do that. And now I'll go to Omnisend, hit a couple of enters. Again, you can do right click and choose plain text, or you can do Control-Shift-V, and that's what I normally do. So I would just do that. And now this is the text that we just added, but now it's not exactly what we wanted. However, we're not having to write this from scratch, so it kind of works out. So I'm going to hit enter here. And remember, we wanted to make this a title a little bit bigger, so I can highlight that. The recommended header size is normally about 20 pixels, but we're going to go with 24 pixels to make it even bigger, easier to read. I'll add a little space there, and then I'll hit enter there. Now remember, this was bold. Now what's nice is I can highlight that and choose bold here, or I can hit, as it shows there, Control-B. So basically I highlight it, and now I have highlighted text. Hit an enter there. You can see now that our newsletter is starting to look like something, and it just takes a little bit of work to format it. Hit an enter there. Now that you see how the formatting works, I'm going to use a little magic to get the rest of the content from the blog in here and save us a little time. Okay, now that our content is in there, notice at the bottom of the blog is an Order Now button. And that Order Now button, if we right-click on it, copy the link address, we can come back over here. And this happened to have a button there. If it didn't have a button, we go to Click Add, and we would drag a button over there. But we don't need one. There's already one there. So now I can click on that button, and where it says Link To, this would be the website itself. That's the one inside of our Omnisend account. We're going to give the particular page it's going to go to instead. And now under that, There's a line break. We don't really need that, so I can click on that and get rid of it. And if you scroll down, all the rest of this stuff until we get to this bottom section, we don't really need. So again, wouldn't it have been nice just to be able to start from scratch? But that wasn't an option. So let me use some magic real quick and clean this all up. And now you will need this bottom section because it allows you to have the unsubscribe option. I'm going to get rid of social media things. If you're going to use it, you can leave that in there. If the template you find doesn't have that in there and you want to add it, there's the social media option there, so you could add it, see, like that. And easy enough to get rid of. Now, what could happen is that you go over here and instead of clicking on this to get rid of this one, you clicked on this side. This side is for getting rid of the whole rows. This side is the individual things. See the difference? So if I delete this, I'm deleting this here. If I delete this, I delete this here. But if I hit this box by accident, oh, I got rid of the whole thing. That wasn't what I wanted to do. Fortunately, up here next to Changes Saved, I can hit this little arrow and undo that. Scroll back down, select that, and use the trash can on this side. This you'll want to leave so that we have access to the unsubscribe within the email. And the Omnisend is going to be there as the logo at the bottom, so long as you're on the free plan, which is fine by me. So our newsletter is pretty much complete. I'll scroll to the top. And I want to see what it looks like. So let me send a test email. So I'll click on that. Where do I want to send it to? I'll send it to here. Hit send. Now we got to go to our mailbox. There's our preview. Let's click on it. Scroll down. And not bad. Looks pretty much like we expected it to. The one thing that's interesting when you get to the bottom, it's depending on what browser you're using and what mail program you're using. The little button comes in a little different, but it still works. If we click on that, it brings up the SEO packages page for Jose1, just like we expected. So it does work. So we can close that. Now we can get rid of the mailbox and go back to Omnisend. And now we're ready to save and choose recipients. So let's click on Save. Segments means that you've selected groups that would get certain emails. Our newsletter is going to go to everybody, all 6 of them, so we're going to use all subscribers. So at the bottom, we'll click on Review Campaign. Campaign Booster, do we want to resend it to people who didn't see it the first time? No, because that'll just complicate things, because then they'll have multiple copies of the same email. It looks like we're spamming them. So they'll read it the first time or they won't, but we'll send it to them once. So we'll leave that turned off. We'll do it Send It Now. So we'll click on Send Now in the bottom corner. And now it's preparing our campaign. This doesn't take too long to prepare it. And then once our campaign is prepared, it'll automatically be queued to send out. That doesn't mean it gets sent immediately because Omnisend has other people in their system and their emails may be queued to go first. And so here it is, success, your campaign will be sent out shortly. Now we can click on View Campaigns, and we sent out 6 emails, and it was newsletter number 1. Now notice, 6 were sent, 0 were opened, and 0 had a click on them. So let's go to our email and see if it showed up. And there it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All 6 of our samples go to the same place. That's why they're there. So now if I click on one of these, there's our email, Play-Doh@WebYoda.com. If I come back over to Omnisend, it says 0 right here. But if we hit refresh, look at there. 6 sent. Open rate is 16.67. That's 1 of 6. And 0 had a click on them. We go back to our emails. I can go back to my inbox. Let's open another one. There it is. So now a second one's been opened. Now in this one, let's scroll to the bottom. We'll click on a link. It brings up the SEO packages page for Jose1. So that worked, just like we expected. We can close that tab. Get rid of that tab. Now let's go back to Omnisend. Remember it said 6 and 1 of 6 was open. Let's hit reload again. Now we had 6 sent, 33.33. That's 2 of 6 are opened. 1 of them was clicked. So you can see already the campaign is off to a great start. Well, you know what I mean. So with this, you can see in real time how our campaigns are performing. Basically, you log into Omnisend, you can click on campaigns, and it'll have a list of all the campaigns you've sent out, and you can see how well they're working. So the next thing we want to do is be able to put a pop-up form on the front page of our website, in this case on the front page of Jose 1. And to do that, it's a two-part process. First, you have to create the pop-up form, and we'll use the Forms button to do that. And then you have to create automation, which tells Omnisend what you want to do when somebody submits that form, how to process it without somebody manually having to do all the work. We can basically automate the whole thing. So we'll go ahead and go back to the Jose 1 homepage. So we can use this as kind of a background as we discuss the different types of pop-ups, what works and what doesn't work, and things like that. Most professionals will tell you it's highly unlikely that your first pop-up campaign will perform well. But we want to try to beat those odds, and being prepared before we start building the form makes it easier to do that. It may seem strange to discuss how to optimize a pop-up form in advance of creating the form, but it's actually essential to maximize your initial success with your email marketing campaign. There are two ways to generally improve the success of your pop-up. The first is to optimize the features within your pop-up based on known statistics of previously created pop-ups. The second, upon completion of your pop-up, is to test various versions of your pop-up to see which ones perform best, and that way you can choose the best one based on your circumstances to get the best conversion rate on your pop-ups. But you're saying to yourself, hey Yoda, where am I going to get recent reliable statistics to help me build my pop-up forms? I will show you. Fortunately for you, I did the research for you. And what we're about to cover are the top 10 things you can do to improve the conversion rate of your pop-ups on your website. And this ensures you get the most new subscribers out of your pop-ups. The first of these is pop-ups with images versus pop-ups without images. As you can see here, the conversion rate for pop-ups with images is significantly higher than the ones without images. What that means is pop-ups with images will generate 86% more subscribers than pop-ups without images. Next, we want to compare pop-ups that have a countdown versus pop-ups that don't have a countdown. Now, not all promotions need a countdown, but for example, if you're doing a Black Friday one, it's a good place to do it. And if you do use a countdown, you're likely to get 41% more sales on average than not using a countdown. Number 3 is pop-ups with discounts versus pop-ups without discounts. The research shows if you include a discount within your pop-up, you can improve your sales by 123% over pop-ups that have no discount. That's over twice as many sales simply by having a discount code in your pop-up. The fourth comparison is standard pop-up versus spin-to-win pop-ups. People like a chance to win, and these are very successful. Nearly 3 times as many sales by having a spin-to-win pop-up as opposed to a standard pop-up. Number 5 is modal pop-ups versus pop-up slide-ins. A modal pop-up is what you typically see when a pop-up shows up in the middle of the screen, but it is more successful if you turn it into a light box where the rest of the screen kind of darkens out. Currently, Omnisend does not have the lightbox feature to add to your modal pop-ups, but in either case, you'll find that modal pop-ups are significantly more successful than slide-ins. So this is what a modal pop-up looks like. If it had a lightbox, it would look like this. And then this is what a slide-in looks like. Now to you and me, well, they're just 2 pop-ups. What's the difference? Well, for whatever reason, there's a huge difference. If you do a modal pop-up, you can expect 67% more sales or a 67% higher conversion rate than if you use a slide-in. All of these are examples of where don't let your emotions get involved. If modal pop-ups perform better, that's what you use. Doesn't matter if I think that a slide-in looks cool. If a modal pop-up is more successful than a slide-in, then we're going to use a modal pop-up. Make sense? Number 6 is how well does a pop-up perform based on how many seconds have elapsed before it's displayed. Now you notice on the graph that the highest success rate is in the first 5 seconds, meaning that the site's trying to come up and the pop-up's already there. But to me, that's kind of annoying, and professionals would agree that taking the user experience into consideration, it's better to wait till the 11 to 15 second mark before you display the pop-up. So generally, I'll wait 11 seconds before I display the pop-up. Number 7 I found interesting. The idea is, where does the pop-up show up on the screen? Does it show up in the middle, the left, the right, the top, the bottom, one of the corners? And does that make a difference? Well, it turns out it makes a huge difference. For example, if you put it at the very top right, it hardly gets any conversions at all. However, it turns out that if you put it at the top left, the conversion rate is significantly higher. The highest conversion rates are to put it in the center to the right, which is what we'll do, and the second highest is to put it in the middle, but notice that it's still 50% more successful having it in the center to the right than having it right in the center. So even if you personally would put it in the center because you think that makes sense, if you put it to the right, statistically speaking, you're going to give it out 50% more success. So for me, when I build a pop-up form, the placement I use is to the right. Number 8 is pop-up conversion rate based on the number of fields. What this means is how many pieces of information are you asking from the person? And it's interesting, if you look at the statistics, if you ask for 1 field, 3 fields, or 4 fields, the success rate is better than if you ask for 2 fields. Now, you might say to yourself, well, that doesn't really make any sense. What's the problem with adding 2 fields instead of 3? Well, the real answer to this question is not why is 2 a problem, it's what the second one is. In almost all cases, when somebody's asking for 2 pieces of information, they're asking for the email address and they're asking for a phone number. And many people don't want to give you a phone number. But the moral to this story is don't ask for more information than you really need. If you only need 1 piece of information, if you can get by with that, for example, if you can get by with just the email address, then do that. It will have a better conversion rate. However, if you really want the person's name, you have name and email address, expect that your conversion rate's going to be lower. It's not about why it's lower, it just is. So it doesn't make any sense. If I only need an email address, that's all I'm going to ask for, and that's what I usually do, and a lot of websites do that. Now, when you're selling things online, a lot of people will take the risk, and it's a calculated risk and worth it in the long run, is to make the second field the phone number. So you can send them an email and or you can send them messages to their phone. Ultimately, it's up to you, but for the campaigns I run, I usually tend to stick with the email choice only, and that also conforms with the free campaign we have at Omnisend, because if you want to be able to do phone messaging, that's going to be an additional upcharge. Number 9 is interesting. First of all, you're not going to pick which one of these you want to use because it's better. You have to come to the realization that mobile and desktop are 2 different ways that you can interact with your subscribers, that you can interact with your potential customers. But what is shocking to some people is that twice as many interactions with websites is done on a mobile as opposed to a desktop, which means that double the traffic is coming from a mobile than a desktop, which also means that you need to make sure that your ads work as good or better on a mobile as they do on a desktop. Now, in the other graph, you'll see that mobile also outperforms desktop as far as the conversion rates. Again, this really doesn't matter because we're going to target both. We're going to make 2 pop-ups. 1 pop-up that only shows up on desktop, 1 pop-up that only shows up on mobile, and that way we can make sure that we benefit as much as possible from both of those types of devices. Number 10 is comparing the conversion rate based on what text is on the button. So for example, if the button says click here on it, it's going to have the most success. Next in line is the word go, then the word submit, then the word download, and then register. So click here will generate 33% more success with your pop-up simply by saying click here instead of go. But you got to be saying to yourself, well, all the other ones were a green bar for the best one. This is the yellow one. Why is it yellow? Well, here's the thing. There's another graph that's really of interest, and that's the same graph for the conversion rate based on the text on the button, but I've added a new category, which is a custom button. If you generate a custom button with the right text on it, you can more than double your conversion rate over click here, and certainly better than all the others. So if you're going to use a generic name, click here is the best one to use, but you're never going to do that. You want to do something that's going to allow for an action. Examples of this include activate free shipping, redeem free gift, apply discount, get 10% off coupon, redeem offer, claim coupon, yes, save 10% off, free trial offer. All of these will perform significantly better than click here. So when we make our pop-up, we want to make sure that our button is a custom button that is specifically what is the subscriber going to get out of this if they choose to click our button. Make sense? When we were discussing the categories, we said the other is to test various versions of the completed pop-up that we create to see which one performs best. And what I mean by that is, let's say we make a really great pop-up, and then we want to test different versions of the pop-up based on putting different pictures in the pop-up and see which one of those ads performs better, which one of those pop-ups performs better. Well, trying out different versions of your pop-up, comparing them to each other, can improve your throughput by 57%, almost 60% better. Your conversion rate will go up by 60% simply by doing A/B testing. And fortunately for us, the Omnisend system has an automated way to do the A/B testing for us. So maybe we test different buttons against each other. Maybe we test different pictures against each other. Maybe we compare different titles against each other. But whatever the case is, as we compare them, Omnisend does the work to keep track of the statistics and then will reveal which one of those is the best one, and then we can just use that ad going forward. Okay, I think we've covered everything we need to as far as optimizing our pop-ups. Now it's time for us to create our pop-up form. So let's go back to Omnisend and go back to our dashboard. And notice the next step, launch sign-up form. Also, if we go to forms, since we don't have any yet, same thing. It's a launch a form. So we'll go ahead and click on the one within forms because that's where we'd normally go when we want to make a new form anyway. Clicked on that. And here we have an easy, simple, don't have to make any changes, ready to go pop-up. But here's the problem. We just learned that if we were to add an image to it, that all of a sudden it makes it twice as likely that we're going to get a new subscriber. So clearly, even though it's a nice default that came up, it's not really what we want to use. So at this point, we just want to go back to the template library. If you go over to where it says Save and Close, the little tiny pull down, it reveals the Change Template. So for us, we're going to choose Change Template. Now we have a whole bunch of templates to choose from as before. Now these are a little bit different, the collection. And instead of going through and trying to look at every single thing, I want to try to narrow this down to just the ones that I might want to use. So for example, under Goal, we could choose Collect Subscribers. And then down under the type, let's pick Pop-up. And that should give us a better list to choose from. We scroll down. We're going to do email only. Although SMS would be nice, it's not part of the free package. So we're going to just choose email only for now. And what I'm looking for, the one I used before, is an email capture. And there it is right there. Email capture GDPR, which stands for General Data Protection Regulation. We'll move our mouse over this, choose Use Template. And now we're editing something that's much more manageable. It's a lot closer to what we're going to want to do. So what we want to do first is replace this picture. And to do that, we need to have a royalty-free picture, meaning that we can use it without a license. But you're saying to yourself, hey Yoda, where am I going to get images that aren't copyright protected? I will show you. If you're looking to access the best royalty-free photos and images online at no cost to you, then you'll want to check out my best free stock photos and images video at some point. So that's one way to get royalty-free images that you can use unlimited in your website. But I want to show you a neat trick I've been using recently that's actually a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and make a new tab in our browser. And then we want to go to gemini.google.com. It's so smart it knows me. And I had an idea. And the idea was this. What kind of image could I put here that's SEO related, but also would attract a lot of people because it gives them that warm, fuzzy feeling that makes them feel good about themselves? And my idea was pets. Everybody loves kittens. Everybody loves puppies. So I wanted to go to Gemini, and I'm going to do a search. And this thing is really clever. Create a photo with puppies and a kitten with a toy in front of them and the letters SEO. Hit enter. It thinks about it for a while, and boom, look at that. It came up with a random image. Now that's not my favorite. In fact, I did this a whole bunch of times and I came up with a whole bunch of choices. But these are all AI generated pictures. And once I had a bunch of these, you can come over here, you can choose the download arrow, and it automatically downloads it to your machine. So anyway, I made a whole bunch of these, I saved them, and then I picked my favorites, and I've got like 3 or 4 of them I really liked. And they're royalty free because they're AI generated. And since I already have those available, I'm going to come over here and I can choose on this image. So I clicked on it, and over here on the right, I can choose to replace it. And now, where am I going to get it to replace it? I'm going to go to here. There's my pictures. Here's all the ones that it came up when I did this over and over and over. The one I want is that one. Click on Open. And you can't see them perfectly right now, but you can still get them in the picture. But they're just adorable. And if somebody comes to this and they see that, the fact that there's these cute puppies and kittens in the picture is likely to get their attention. And so Later on, I might do some testing to see if that works with our A/B testing we're going to talk about later, but I think it's a good direction to go in. And now we want to customize the rest of our form to be exactly what we need it to be. So the first thing I'm going to do is come over here where it says the width of 655, and let's put 800. And there we go. Now they sit in there just nicely. And come on, wouldn't you click on that? Anyway, that's the idea. I think I can get better traffic because people like kittens and puppies. We'll see what happens. The next thing we want to do is to edit this content to make it exactly what we want it to be. And obviously, I'm changing this to be what Jose1 needs. You're going to change it to be whatever it is you need it to be. The rules of editing are basically the same here as they were in our newsletter. But I'll walk through step by step to give you a little more experience with this so we can go ahead and build this out pretty quick. One of the things I want to be able to adjust has to do with the padding that's around here. The problem is those controls aren't easy to get to, but I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's say I'm looking at this box. Notice this little area between them. If I click in that area, it takes me to the layout for this particular thing. And the first thing I'm going to do is down here in the padding, I want to change this to 10 all the way around. And that gives me a little bit more space. Now I want to change the background color for the form to black. And notice that made everything disappear. But that's okay. First thing I want to do is change the title up here to a different color. So I'll click on that, and this is where I'll put the color. I'll go back to our document, and that's where I want to get the color from again. Again, I like having this script. Now I can click on here, paste that in, and now I can definitely see that. And then in each of these areas, I can click on that, and I'm going to open that and choose white. Click on that. That's a divider. I don't think I'm going to use that at all, so I'm just going to delete that. So when we click on this one, notice you don't have any color controls. Turns out the color controls for these types of areas is in a different spot. So I come out into this gray area. I choose that, and now I have these options, and also under themes, I have these options. What these are called is fields. And so if I go to fields, that's where those colors are. So when you get here, it looks like you'd want to change this to change the text color, but really what you're looking for is the label color. So we'll click on the label color and choose there. And now we can see these labels. And now I want to change some of the text that's in here. Let's start at the top. So instead of "Don't Miss Out," we'll change that to "Free Website Audit." And then inside the font, I want to choose Anton. To get this on one line, I'm going to choose 40, like that. That should have made it on one line, but didn't. Let's move it to 38. There we go. We'll leave the line height at 1.25. We'll scroll down. We're going to choose this center icon to make it nice and centered. And then down here, at the top, I want to make it 20. That's the padding at the top. But then on the sides, I'm going to put 0 all the way around. So basically it's 20 at the top and 0 on the sides. Again, you can do this however you want, but this gives you some experience using the editor, just watching what I've decided to do. And then in the text right here, I'm going to replace that. And that looks okay, but the problem is anything you put in a form needs to be as minimal as possible. Yeah, I get it. WebYoda Foundation did pay for these SEO audits for people's websites, so that applies to people who actually go on the site. So if you wanted to try this out, you could get a free SEO audit on your website as well. But the problem is they don't need to know all this. So the idea is just to keep it simple. So let's replace that. And that's really all we need. Free website SEO audit for the next 100 signups and receive 50% off coupon on SEO services. So that's a lot shorter, saves a lot of space. Kitten and the puppies look better, less clutter. It's a better idea. So now we need to add a field, because if we're going to offer a website SEO audit, we need to have a field in here that collects the URL for the website. So over on this side, we're going to choose input. I'll drag it above like that. For the label here, instead of first name, we'll put free website SEO audit. And for the default that goes in here, so that people know what to type as an example, enter your website URL. Now up here it says, where do you want to map this field to? And if we pull down, it's where do we want to store this? But we don't want to store it in first name, last name, or city. We need to do a custom property. Basically, it have letters and an underscore. So we're going to put website underscore URL. That's going to be the name of our custom property, and we'll click Create New. And now we're mapping to a custom property, and the name of it is website_URL. And now we want to change the placeholder, and that's the text that's in here. So what we'll put in here is enter your website URL. And so that filled in there nicely. And now we want to change the label, which is right here, enter field label, and that's right here, to be free website SEO audit. Now to make this a little more call to action, meaning that it sounds like they're going to get something if they do this, instead of just saying email in this one here, for the label, I'm going to put free SEO tips and audit report. And so they see that, and it says enter your email, and it kind of implies if you give us your email, that's what you're going to receive. And then the next thing we need is this little legal piece right here. And basically, that little link right there is going to take them to your privacy policy. But you're saying to yourself, hey, Yoda, I don't have a privacy policy. How am I going to fix that? I will show you. It's quite easy. Go to a new tab, and you go to the website privacypolicygenerator.info, and it's got a free method to do this. You'll choose, let's say you want a website, continue, you fill out all the information, and at the end it has an area with some text in it, and you can paste that into your website on a page. So now in Omnisend, when I select this, over on the right, privacy policy link, I'm going to paste in the real link for that. This default is the correct one. There's only two choices. And that's really all we need to do for that. So if you don't have a privacy page, you are going to have to create that though. And now we're ready to work on our button. And as we learned, the button itself is going to do a lot better if we have a custom name on the button instead of just a generic thing like subscribe. First thing I want to do is change the look of the button. So I'll click outside of the form, and then I can come over to theme settings, and there's buttons, and that's the particular button. Basically, you can have three different ones you can customize. We're just going to customize the one that's already there. We'll click on that. We're going to use Rubik, which is already there. We'll change our size a little bit bigger. Let's make it 20. It's a little too round, so I'll go semi-round on that. The text color, and for the background color, we'll use the same orange that's in the website. Scroll down. I don't really want a button border on this, so I'll turn that off. Just made it 0 right there. And then at the bottom again, it has the Omnisend logo. And the free version, it'll always have that, and I'm totally fine with that. Now our form looks pretty good, so we're getting close to being done with this. But over here is the name of the form, and if we save and close, that'll be the name, and I don't really want that to be the name. This is really the only place to edit it. So I'll choose Edit, and I'll pick another name. It's a pop-up, and the subject of it is Free Website SEO Audit and SEO Tips. It's a good name, but remember we learned another tip when we were looking to optimize our pop-ups. We want to have a unique form for our desktop pop-up, and we want to have a unique form for our mobile pop-up. So because of that, let's change our name and just put the word desktop in there, because this is going to be the desktop version. And when we go to make our second one, we'll just change the word desktop to mobile, and that'll give us two unique names. Now we need to set some behaviors. And so again, if we click outside this edge, it brings up this extra menu. And if I choose behavior, which it already is by default, I have access to these. I'm going to click on the first one. And there's really nothing that we're going to change right now. This is more of an advanced feature. We'll just leave this alone. However, if you wanted to do a double opt-in, this is where the option is, and that would require the sender to verify their email before they get added. I don't normally do this. I'm going to back up. Now we want to look at scheduling. And this says, when is this going to take effect? Once we turn it on, once we enable the form, would it show all the time? Would it work all the time? Or would it start at a certain date? Would it end at a certain date? Or would you select a start and end date? Well, in our case, once it's live, we want it to work all the time, and we can disable it at any time. And then later, if we need to turn it off, we can disable it. I'll back out of that. Now we'll go into display. And what it's asking here is, what are the circumstances that we want this to show up? After a certain number of page visits, after a certain amount of time on the page, after a certain amount of scroll down the page, or where they intend to exit the page. Like they come up here and they're like, I'm exiting. Well, let's decide which of these we need. I don't really want it to be a number of pages. I just want a certain amount of time to go by. And we learned that the good range for this is 11 to 15 seconds, so we're going to put 11 seconds. Now, as far as the scrolling, the default is 20%, but let's put a little effort into this to make sure this is what we want it to be. Basically, when somebody scrolls down at least 20% of the page, then the pop-up would show up. Well, let's determine a more educated guess on that. I did some research, and it turns out that with blog pages, the scroll depth, meaning how far people on average would scroll, is 60 to 80%. An e-commerce site is 40 to 60%. Educational websites is 70 to 90%. So I definitely think we need to be below this low-end number. Choose, say, 30%, which means I go a little bit farther down the page than the 20%. So what this means is, if they're on the page for 11 seconds, it's going to pop up. Or, if they scroll to a depth of 30%, it's going to pop up. Or, let's turn this on, if they come to the page and they try to immediately leave by moving their mouse to the top, it'll come up then as well. Scroll to the top, hit back. Let's click on targeting. These are the two that are going to be of interest to us. The first one, visitor targeting options. Do we want all visitors to see this? I don't think so. What we want is do not show to existing contacts. So if we already know they're in the contact list, there's really no reason to try to get them to sign up to be a subscriber because they already are one. So we'll choose don't show to existing contacts. Now under page targeting options, where do we want this to show up? Well, you could have it show up on all the pages or on a particular URL, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to pick that, and then it says contains, but instead of contains, I want to choose is, and the URL for Jose1, paste that in, and then you could add additional ones if you wanted it on additional pages, but this means that this pop-up will show up on the first page, and that's where we want it to show up. I don't want it showing up all over the place. I just want it to show up when they're on the front page. So I'll back up. Now let's look under visibility. We want this to be on all devices, on mobile only, or on desktop only. Well, we already set this to be a desktop by name, so we'll choose desktop only, and that'll make this show up only on desktop devices. Let's back up. Scroll down. Let's choose frequency. How often do we want this to appear? So let's say a user comes there today, and it shows up on their screen. When's the next time we want it to show up? I don't want to bother them again today, but I wouldn't mind if they came back tomorrow. Maybe we'll show it to them the next day. So one day seems fine. But what a better choice, I think, is to change this to hours and change it to 20 hours. Because that way they could come back the next day, but maybe they came back earlier the next day. It's kind of a catch-all on that. So we'll back up. Down here, there's an option for A/B testing. We'll look at that later. Scroll to the top. Now we're going to click on Theme Settings, and we're going to choose Form Layout. And right here, we have a choice of the different ways that this will display. Pop-up is a basic modal, which is what we want it to be. That's the one the statistics say is a better choice. Even though it looks cool, you're like, oh, that's pretty neat. You don't really want that. We're going to use pop-up because we've learned that that's the better one. Scroll down. This is one we're interested in. We learned if we put it in one of the corners, it doesn't do as well. If we put it in the center, it does pretty good. But it turns out if we do it to the right of the center, it does the best. And so that's the one we're going to choose. Now we can scroll to the top and back up. Now we want to choose on the close option. And this is something we didn't discuss yet. Now the close icon is the icon that shows up right here, and you don't see it because the background is the same color as this. So let's pick a color so you can see it. And the thing about this is there's another statistic out there that shows that people are likely to, out of habit, automatically look for that icon and click on it. And so one of the suggestions that I offered to Omnisend was make it to where there was an option here to delay this showing up, let's say 10 seconds. But currently I don't have that option. So instead, what I suggest that you do is pick a color that's just a little less obvious. So see, it's there. So you're not being dishonest, but you're making it a little harder to do. And we'll also, out of fairness, choose close by clicking the outside of the form. So if they click outside of the form, it would also close. The main reason we're making this harder to find is so that people don't automatically, a pop-up shows up and bam, they click on it and close it. Because that happens. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. So we can back up. At this point, there are no additional changes that are needed. And so our main form is finished. And now what we're ready to do is we want to work on our success page. So somebody comes here, they choose subscribe. And what do we forget? I forgot to change the button text. You're supposed to tell me these things. You're supposed to say, hey, Yoda, you missed that. Okay, I know that's on me. So what I decided on, I'm going to click on this, and where it says subscribe, I've decided I want it to say redeem free offer. That's my custom text. And this would be a good place for this A/B testing that we're going to talk about, where you can have everything about the forms the same, except the text on the button could be different, and let the A/B testing show us which text on the button performs the best. So we've got our main form done. That's this right here. Now we want to click on Success. And this Success page is not bad. Success, thanks for signing up for our email list. But let's customize it a little bit. So I'll click on Success. I'll choose the color here to be the color orange that's part of the website. I'll click on here. We're going to change this to white. And then I'll click in the background. And I'll change the background to black. Now I want to change this text out to meet my needs. Success, that's fine. But we're going to have more text. We'll use Rubik font, the default there. But let's change the size to 16. Now I'll come in here and highlight that. Delete it. Paste my new text in. And now we need a close button here, even though they could close at that, just to make it a little easier. So I'll bring a button over here like that. It says Shop Now. What we really want it to say is close. And I want this to be a different color button. So again, I can click outside of here, go to Theme Settings, choose Buttons. And we're going to set up a secondary button. And this is the color of red that it is for the text. Let's put that color down here instead. And then choose white. And then if we back up, this is what it's going to look like. And we come back to here. And we click on here, instead of primary button, we choose secondary, and now it has that version. Now notice this button's a little close to the top. If we come down here, let's say I change this to 50. Now it's down there. Let's just put 40. There. So there's our success window. It's ready to go. And the last one we have is subscribed. You're already subscribed. And we could customize this and have your already subscribed version, but we're not going to let this form go that far. They're not even going to see this if they're already subscribed. So what I can do is come down here and click on the three dots and just choose delete. And so those will be the only two. And I would also have the option, if I wanted to, I can go back and add things in there as well. At this point, our form's done, our name's set, everything's ready to go. But we don't want to enable the form yet, because if the form is enabled, and they click on it, there's no workflow to handle it to send them an email. So we've got some work to do, but we've got the first part out of the way. So right now, we're just going to click on Save and Close. Now remember, we were going to make two forms. We want to make a version of this that's for mobile, and it's actually unbelievably easy. So I'm going to come over here, and inside of the three dots, I'm going to make a copy of it, and now it came up. In this corner up here, I can choose to edit the name, and let's change that to be mobile. Update. And now we have a new form. Obviously, this is not the mobile version. So the first thing that we need to do is click outside the box. Under Behavior, under Visibility, which is where it has the devices, we're going to choose Mobile Only. And now this is what our form looks like on a mobile. Well, from here, I want to put a picture at the top, just like we did before. So let's come over here and find an image box, and let's put it right between there. We'll click on this text, and over here where it says 38, let's change it to 34. That should make it fit. Almost. Let's try 32. Maybe that'll make it work. There. Now for our image, I'll click on that, select File, and I cropped a version for the mobile, and it's that one. And so that's what it'll look like on there. Now, because this wrapped and has 3 lines here, I want to change this out. I should be able to come down here, make this 0 and 0, and see it fits in there nicely now. And now, to get rid of some of this extra space between these, I'll choose this field, and I'll put a padding of 0 at the top. And I'll choose this field, I'll put a padding of 0 at the top. I'll scroll down. This stuff looks okay to me the way it is. And so now we can choose success. And there's our success message. And it also looks okay. So we can save and close. And now we have both the forms we're going to need to do the automation. And now we're ready to go into automation, where we can make the form do something when somebody submits on it. So we'll click on automation. And since we've never done this before, we have a button here instead of a button over here that says create new. So we'll click on that. And now we're into starting our own workflow. And what I'll just do is I'll just hit continue. And we're only going to do an emails on this one. I'll hit start workflow. Great job. Every new subscriber will receive a welcome email. Let's show my workflow. And here is the workflow it just set up for us. That's just a default, but we need to make some edits to it. So these little 3 dots to the right, I can click on that and I can choose edit. And from here, I know it looks kind of complicated, but it's really not as bad as it seems. I'm going to walk you through this so you can see what it does, and then you'll figure out that they basically did almost all the work for us. The idea is that this is what's going to happen. There's a trigger that's going to happen. The trigger says, when do I want to access this workflow? This is a workflow that's going to occur. It's automated instead of somebody manually having to send something out. It's a workflow that's going to automatically happen, and these are the steps that are going to happen. So first we need a trigger. When is this going to happen? Meaning, what are the conditions where this workflow actually gets activated? And then there's a delay for 1 minute, and then it's going to send a welcome email, and then it exits. So this is a very simple workflow. So to proceed, we first need to understand what triggers are, or what these triggers are, and how they apply to us. So what we're going to do is walk through exactly what's happening here, and it follows in this window what is going on. So notice this is the trigger box. If I click on that, here's the trigger edit. If I click on this one, here's the delay edit. If I click on this one, here's the email edit. So those are the 3 things that we'll want to do, and then there's the exit at the bottom. So we're going to start with the trigger box, and let's fully understand what it does. And the first thing is a pull-down box. What is going to be the number 1 trigger that makes this happen? Notice there's a lot of different ways these workflows can be triggered, but for us, the default is already set. We didn't have to do anything. Subscribe to marketing. The next thing is the trigger filters. What are the situations? What are the conditions where this should happen? So I'll click on that. And the first one is channel subscribed to is email. And what that means is the subscriber will receive emails from us. So that's the first thing. The first filter is if this works, the person's going to receive emails from us. And the next condition is first subscription is true. Well, what that means is this person is not already a subscriber, meaning that this is their first subscription, meaning they're not a subscriber already. So those are our first 2 triggers. And then next is the subscription method. How are they going to subscribe? What is the method for subscribing? In this, it's going to be a sign-up form, that form we just created. And then it says, or is an API. Well, we're not going to be doing this. We're just doing the sign-up form, so I'll go ahead and delete that one. So the last trigger is the subscription method is a sign-up form, meaning they're going to fill out a form. But what's missing is the form. We need to tell it which form it is. So now we need to add the form. So I'll click on Add Trigger. Please select Filter. And what I'm going to pick is Form. And then is, meaning, because there's 2 choices here, Form is, and select. And I've got 2 fields here. Well, the problem is we need to make it trigger on either one of these, meaning we need to make it trigger on both of these. So instead of or right here, we're going to make that an and. And what we want to do is called Add Group Trigger Filter. That's going to allow us to pick two of them. That's the only difference. We can pick one with this one. We can pick two with this one. Two or more. But we only want to pick two. We only have two. So I'll choose that. Select filter. It's going to be form. So form is, select a form. And we'll pick the first one, mobile. Hit save. And then we'll add another trigger. And we don't want it to say and. We want it to say or. It's going to be one or the other. And what's interesting is when you choose or, it comes back to the add trigger button. Kind of weird, but you click on it again, and now it says the one that we picked already, or, and now we'll pick our second one. So it's under form. Scroll down. Form is, and now we'll select a form, and the second one is desktop. But that's the only thing we have to do. We'll hit save, and all the hard part's done. So let's review. They are subscribed to an email channel, meaning that when they signed up, they chose to be in an email channel, meaning they are going to receive emails from us. Also, they've never subscribed before, so this is the first time they've subscribed. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sending them a welcome email. Also, their sign-up method is a sign-up form, which is the case because the form is the one that we have here, and it can be either one of these forms. So our trigger is complete. Now the question is, how long do we want to wait until we send them the email? Right now, it's set to 1 minute. Now you can come over here under minutes, and we can choose immediately, and it would send it immediately. You probably could just get rid of this step, but I'm going to leave it there anyway. And so the last step before it exits is the email. So we'll click on that. And now on the right-hand side is the setup for the email. The subject line will say welcome to and whatever the account name is, which will be Jose1. The pre-header that's next to that in the email line is thanks for signing up for our newsletter. We're super excited. We're just going to leave that alone. You can change it if you want, but just for this example, it should be fine. The sender's name is Jose1 SEO Solutions. It's going to use the default email address that's in our system. And this is what the default email looks like that they're going to receive. But we can click on this Edit Content button. You want to save changes? Yes, we'll save changes. This question, I always answer that because I'm usually just setting something up for the first time. So if you don't know what to pick, just pick that one. That's what I always pick. Publish changes. And now we're ready to edit this email, and this is what it looks like so far. And we don't have to get too fancy with it. Now, since we already know how to set up an email, I'll use some magic here to make this happen quickly. So now our first initial email is done. Click on Finish Editing, and what will happen is they'll fill out a form. All these conditions will be met, and when they're met, it'll happen immediately that they'll receive the email that I just made. But I want to add one more feature to this workflow. It gives us a little experience with the workflow, and it'll solve a problem that I think might happen. And that is, I want to check back in with this subscriber in a couple of days and see if they've heard back about the progress on their SEO audit. So to do that, I need to make another email. And the easiest way to do that is on these double dots. I can choose Clone. Now I've got a second email. Of course, they're the same right now. We're going to change that. And now I want to drag a delay between the two. So there's our delay. And over here, I want to change it to be 2 and days. So they'll complete a form. It'll meet the criteria to trigger this workflow. At that point, it'll immediately send them the welcome email. And then 2 days later, it's going to send them this follow-up email. So let's click on the follow-up email, scroll down, and choose Edit Content. Yes, save. Always pick the first one. And now we want to change this to be the follow-up email. So again, I'll do some quick magic to change this out. Short and sweet. Everything else should be the same. Click on Finish Editing. And now we're back to here. Now when I scroll down and click on that one, over here for the subject line in the pre-header, for the subject line, we'll put status follow-up. For the pre-header, checking on the status of your free website SEO audit. Everything else can stay the same. Now we can hit Update. Now at this point, this is ready to go. So I'm going to choose Publish Changes. Again, I pick the first one. And now our workflow is ready to go. All it's waiting on is for somebody to fill out a form and submit the form, and this will go into play. So now we want to make sure everything is enabled and ready to go. The workflow is enabled. We'll go back to Forms. These two are in draft mode. Let's click on the three dots over here and choose Edit, or we could just click on the name here, Enable Form. Now it's live. We'll choose the second one, Enable Form. Now it's live. Now both of our forms are live, but something I saw earlier, I want to make sure this is right. So let's click on this and edit it real quick. Under Visibility, for whatever reason, I know that we picked this, but it's showing all devices. Let's choose Desktop Only, Update Live. And now let's double check this one. And it shows only on mobile, so that one's okay. Update Live. And now everything should be ready to go. So at this point, we should be able to go back to our website. So let's go ahead and click on Jose 1. And since we're in edit mode, let's go ahead and go into an incognito window to make sure everything works right. And from here, we'll go to jose1.com. If all goes well, in about 11 seconds, we'll have a pop-up.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And there it is. So for our form, we need to enter in a website URL. And that's one of the websites that people learn how to make when they follow my WordPress courses in YouTube. Now we need an email address. And that's the email address associated with that website. Authorize them to send us email. Redeem this free offer. Hit close. And that should be good. But you're saying to yourself, hey Yoda, what happens when the free website SEO audit offer runs out? I will tell you. I have arranged with Jose 1 to provide free website SEO audits to all my Omnisend students. To take advantage of this offer, simply visit jose1.com/Omnisend. So let's go back to Omnisend and see if it works. So let me close that incognito window, and we'll go back to Omnisend, and we'll refresh Forms. And when we refresh and scroll down, we'll see there's one view on our form, and there was one submission with 100% conversion rate. That's pretty good. But the nice thing is that that worked. And now we're ready to do some WooCommerce automation. So we're going to go ahead and click on Automation. And now we're inside the Automation section again. But the problem is there is no WooCommerce features on this website. But what we're going to do is I'm going to transfer us over to a different website called self-tastic.com that does use a WooCommerce shopping cart so we can proceed. So let me do a little quick magic right here to make that happen. Okay, magic complete. And this is the dashboard for Bethany's website, my wife's, one of her websites, called self-tastic.com. And it does have a shopping cart, and it is a WooCommerce shopping cart, so this is going to work out good for us. And so in this tab is her Omnisend, and this tab is her website, and this tab is the WP admin for her website. And what I did was I installed the two plugins, and now we're at the screen where before, if we clicked on this one when we did it for earlier in the course, we connected to Omnisend here. But since we're going to use a WooCommerce one, if you're going to be using WooCommerce, you can click on here. You may already be connected, which is fine, but this is how you would do it if you were connecting just through WooCommerce. We already have an account, so we're going to choose Connect Your Account. And it would like to have permission from us to do this. Let's approve it. And notice in her case, it pulled over all of her colors and her logo, and it pulled over some of the social stuff. So that was really neat, right? So the last one we did, it didn't pull that in. We added it manually. This time it pulled that all in. We can just choose Save Brand Assets. And of course, they want to help us, but we have this video, so we don't need their help for now. Now, the first thing it wants us to do is to launch the sign-up form, the welcome form, but we already did that. So you would basically do it the same way within your WooCommerce setup. So we're going to skip directly to Recover Abandoned Carts. And I'll clean up my tabs here like this. I don't need that one anymore. And we're just going to choose the Launch Workflows. If we were to go to Automations, it would also have the same thing to do it. This is where you'd normally do it at. So remember, we discussed the difference. So it's basically the same thing. We can either go through here or go to Automations and choose this one, We're in automations. Let me go ahead and just click that one. And what's really nice is that this is going to all be set up for us. We're not going to do anything at all to make this happen, but I do want to walk you through it. So what Omnisend is going to do is they're going to create a workflow for us that already handles customers who abandon the cart and customers who abandon the checkout. All we have to do is hit continue, and we're not going to be using SMS right now on the free package. We're just going to do the emails only. We'll click on Start Workflows. Now we can choose Show My Workflows, and look at that. It already created 2 of these for us. Each of these we can make updates and changes if we need, but they're already activated. They're already running. So literally right now on her website, this website right now, if somebody goes to do an order and then they put something in the cart and then they go away, Omnisend's already taken care of that for us. We don't even have to go into it. But let's go ahead and go in and make a couple of observations and maybe a couple of adjustments. And whatever we do for abandoned checkout, you could do the same for abandoned cart. Let's click on abandoned checkout. And we're into the workflow. And this will look very similar now that we've already done a workflow. Here's our triggers. These are the things that are going to happen over here under triggers. And then the first thing that happens after the trigger, meaning whatever the event happens to get us into this workflow, in this case, somebody abandoned a checkout. See right there, abandoned checkout. It's going to send an email to them that says items are selling out fast. 11 hours later, if they haven't completed their purchase, they'll get another email. 12 hours after that, if they still haven't completed their order, they'll get another email, and then it'll exit. So basically, we're going to see if we can close this sale with them. They've already decided on something. They put it in their cart. They almost finished the purchase, but they didn't make it all the way. Now for you, the only thing you need to do is to click on the emails, scroll down, and you can go in where it says Edit Content, just like we did with the other one. You can make any updates and changes you want. I'm not going to do those here because you know how to do that already. And then we would choose Finish Editing. And that takes us back to our workflow. So once you make any updates and changes here, you could basically click on Update, and then you could click on Close, and whatever changes you made would now be active. And you do the same thing for the abandoned cart. Now the next section we're going to work on, and you've heard me talk about a little bit, is called A/B testing. A/B testing is a feature of Omnisend that allows users to compare 2 or more versions of a campaign or a form and determine which performs better. Once you determine which version performs better, you start using only that version. And the more A/B testing you do, the more you can improve your overall conversion rate and the more you can increase your overall sales. Now in this course, we're going to discuss 2 types of A/B testing that you can do, one via the automations and one via the pop-up forms. So since we're already in the automations section for the Self-Tastic website, we'll go ahead and explore A/B testing for automations. And then after that, we'll go back to the Jose 1 website and learn how to do A/B testing for the pop-up forms that we have there. So let's go ahead and go back into abandoned checkout. And let's see how we can apply A/B testing to this workflow. Just a couple of simple examples. The first thing that I could do is I could decide, well, I want to compare 2 different versions of one of these emails. So let's say I looked at this and I wanted to offer a heading on this that said one thing, but there might be a different heading that makes a little more sense. What you do is you drag the A/B testing to that little plus sign right there just above it. And now it makes 2 paths, an A path and a B path. Now what I can do is I can drag this email up on top of the A. You can't just drag it near it. You really need to drag it right on top of it. And now it's right there inside of the A. And I want to compare this email with another version of the email that's exactly the same, but with a minor change. Now, obviously, you want to change this to be your professional-looking email before you start doing this. Now, once you have the professional email completed, you can click the 3 dots. I can click Clone, and that makes a copy of the email. Now, I can drag the clone over to the B side. You see, I had to bring it all the way up to that plus sign and let it loose. And now we're doing A/B testing. And we're going to go ahead and leave this as a 50-50 split. And what that means is anytime somebody abandons a checkout, it's going to wait the 1 hour and then it's going to send an email. 50% of the time it'll send this email, 50% of the time it'll send this email. So these emails at this point are exactly the same. You could change something about the two of them that makes them a little bit different. Basically, I always leave the A, the first one, alone, and then I make a minor change to the second one. After we publish our changes, it automatically goes in effect, and as it continues to use, as we get new sales coming through, we'll be able to see which one of these is more successful. So that's one example. We could publish changes and we'd be done. But I don't really want to do that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this split for now. So I'll delete it. And it says, which one do I want to get rid of? Do I want to get rid of the ones over this side? Or do I want to get rid of the ones on this side? Or do I want to get rid of everything? Well, let's get rid of the B path, this one over here. So I'll choose that and I'll click delete. And now we're back to where we were at. Now, another example of an A/B test that you could try is you might want to see, hey, what if I didn't have this same amount of wait time? Maybe that's not the best amount of time. Let's go ahead and see if we can test that to see if there's a better time for the amount of delay between the time that we send these two emails that might get us more sales. And to do that, we're going to grab A/B test. We're going to drag it just above the wait 11 hours. And now, here's our 11 hours. I'll drag it to there. And now I can come over to this side, grab another delay, and put it here. And on this one, it's 11 hours. And on this one, let's change it to, let's say, 5 hours. So now we have another A/B test. They're going to come into our workflow because they have an abandoned checkout. After 1 hour, we're going to send them this email. You're going to make it really pretty and professional. If they have not completed their sale in the path A, it's going to wait 11 hours before it sends the next email. In path B, it's going to wait 5 hours before it sends the email. And it's going to be 50-50, meaning it's going to be 50% of the time there's going to be an 11-hour wait, and 50% of the time there's going to be a 5-hour wait. Make sense? So I like the idea of this one. I'd be curious to see how that'll work out on Bethany's site. So we're going to leave that one. Now remember, you don't want to test more than one thing at a time. So you don't want to test two different emails at the same time that you test two different wait times. You want to take your time and try different things to optimize your workflow to make it as profitable as possible. So for me, I want to leave this one here. We'll hit Publish Changes. I always choose the first one. Hit Publish Changes. And now our workflow is up to date. So that's one type of A/B testing when you're testing the abandoned cart, when you're testing workflows through the automation. The other kind of testing we want to do is through forms, but to do that, we need to go back to the Jose1 website. So I'm going to do a little magic to make that happen right here. And now we're back in the Jose1 environment. And we want to go to the Forms tab so we can do some A/B testing on our forms. And what's neat from here, I scroll down, it looks like there might have been a little bit more activity while we were away from the computer for a few minutes, which is cool. Though there are a lot of forms you can create with Omnisend, currently pop-up forms are the only ones that you can do A/B testing with. So I guess the good news is the one we built for Jose1 was a pop-up form. Also, currently you cannot A/B test more than 2 pop-up forms against each other at a time. I really don't see this as a huge problem, but I thought I would point it out. So if we scroll down, these are the 2 forms we have. Now it's possible to activate A/B testing from within the form, but I find it a lot easier just to come to the right. In this case, we're going to start with the desktop one, choose the 3 dots, and then choose Set up A/B Test. And what Omnisend did is it took our original form, which is this one here, and it created 2 different versions of it. They're all identical, but one of them is going to be our version A, and one of them is going to be our version B. For best practices for me, I leave version A exactly the same as the original, and I make the adjustment to version B, which means that version A will always stay the same, and version B will be where I make the updates and changes. Now, if for some reason you accidentally chose A/B testing, but you didn't mean to, under here, under Save and Close, the pull down has a Cancel A/B Test where you can get rid of it and take you back to the original form. But we wanted to do it, so we want to proceed from here. Now we need to discuss what the A/B split is. See, notice it says split 50-50. That's the default. And the split ratio is how often does test A display relative to test B. So the first thing we need to decide is what do we want our split ratio to be. Now, if you're not sure if test A or test B are going to perform better, let's say they're both relatively new and you're not sure which one's going to be the better one, then you're most likely going to choose the 50-50 split. That'll be the best choice for you, and it's also the default. However, if your original one, in this case it's also test A, is your successful form, and you don't expect test B to win out, it's better to put your display ratio at 80-20. This is because you want your star performer, pun intended, to display as much as possible, but still collect enough data to see if test B is going to be a better solution. Otherwise, if you were to run the A/B test at 50-50, and your successful form was running half the time, it could cost you conversions and or sales for the sake of running the test. Again, in our test, we're only going to change out the image where the contenders are the AI Pets image that I made with Gemini before, and there it is, and an SEO-centric image that I just made now, and there it is. To be fair, I also used Gemini to create the AI SEO-centric image, and this is what Gemini came up with. But to give this contender any chance of winning, I also decided to animate the neon lights to show Jose won in SEO on a time delay basis. Since the kitten and puppies SEO image is already live, and I'm very optimistic it'll win, I'm going to go ahead and choose the split ratio of 80-20. And again, this is because a 50-50 split would cost me more conversions and sales than an 80-20 split, but provide the same results. Now we're ready to edit the version B, the contender video. So I can click here and bring up the editor, and we're just going to change out this picture. So I'll click on the picture, come over here and choose replace. From my list, I'll pick the new picture. There's all the frames I made to animate this. Choose our animated version, open it up, and that's what it looks like. Now for one small other change, for consistency, notice that this orange doesn't really match that. So I want to put a color in that kind of matches that. So we'll click on this text, we'll go in this box, let's choose say that. So since there aren't a lot of options here, I went off script and just picked one that matched, and see how that matches really well. I want to edit the color of the button, but you can't edit it by clicking the button. I got to click outside the box. I can do there or here or here. And now I can go to theme settings, I can get to buttons, and this is the button we want to edit. I'll come up here, I'm going to choose this to change it out, and I'll change it to that color, and I'll come back, and this is our close button, and we'll go ahead and go in here and do the same thing for the background on the close button after success. And now our form is complete, and we can save and close, and from here over to the right we can open up with the three dots and choose edit A/B test again, and now at the top right this is going to allow us to activate it. So hit start. And now we scroll down, and now our test is running. So in our case, we'll act like we're done with testing. I'll come over here, I'll hit the double dots again, go to View A/B Test Results, and now at the top right, there's a button to choose a winner. We can click on that. So if test A was the best choice, we select that one. If test B was the best choice, we'd choose that one, and then we'd click the Choose Winner button. The A/B testing would go away, and then when we went back to our menu, it would no longer say A/B test running under here. But since I actually do want to let this run, we won't choose a winner for the A/B testing at this time. Now I wanted to spend a little bit of time looking at the reports that can be generated. So let's choose the reports option. And down here on the left, you see standard. That's what comes with the free package. What's nice is that the reports section reflects all subscriber action within our website. So if we click on campaigns, which is the default, and we scroll down, here's our newsletter, we sent it out, and here was the statistics of how it's performing. Next we could choose workflows, scroll down, and this was our welcome message. It got sent out twice, and so far there's been 0 opens and a 0 click rate. And then if we go to forms, we can see how our forms are running. Now by analyzing the data within the report section, you can determine what's working well and what's not working well, and that'll help you decide how to proceed. But you can also use the report section to help process pop-up form custom requests, such as the one we have where they get the free website SEO audit. And let me show you how that would work. We want to see how easy it can be for Jose1 to be able to manage the free website SEO audit request. Once a new subscriber joins, they're added to the audience section of Omnisend with the newest ones at the top. However, that is a list of all the subscribers that have been added. What we want is to see only the subscribers that have been added because of our website SEO audit pop-up. And so to see that, we'll stay under the Reports tab. We'll click on the desktop one, and we'll go to Activity. And there's the one that we added. And now if we click on the email address for that subscriber, it brings up the profile for everything that they've done. Notice on the right is the contact activity. And the more times contacts interact with our site, this list would continue to grow. Now, as far as processing the free website SEO audits, Jose1 is going to need two pieces of information. First, they'll need the email address, they can get it there. And second, they'll need the website URL, which is listed there. With those two pieces of information, they're able to start working on the SEO audit using the URL, and they are able to interact with the subscriber using the email address right there. Now that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover as a beginner's course for the Omnisend product. But before we head out, I wanted to discuss some e-marketing best practices that can help you be as successful as possible with your email marketing campaign. Never, ever, ever, ever buy email list. Never, ever purchase an email list attempting to quickly boost your sales. This is the worst idea ever. Buying email lists is guaranteed to tarnish your brand reputation, which makes both customers and Google search like you less. And if your luck is really bad, your website domain can get blacklisted, destroying your email deliverability, which would mean that most of your emails would be delivered to people's spam boxes and they'd never see them. In the absolute worst case, you could also be violating privacy laws and not even know it. If nothing else, in the whole thing that we've done all this time you've got with me, that's probably the most important. Don't buy an email list. Just don't do it. And if you do, remember, I told you, you don't want to do that. Once you reach a point where your email marketing needs exceed the limits of the Omnisend free package, please consider using my affiliates link found in the comments below the video. Now, I truly hope I covered everything you needed in this tutorial. Now, if there was something I didn't mention or you had additional questions, please leave them below. I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. But if I don't know the answer, I'll go, hey, I don't know. But if I do know the answer, I can find the answer, I'll give it to you, and maybe we can work on it together. So I really enjoyed doing this. I hope you had a great time as well. The only real payment I'm looking for, if I could possibly get a subscribe out of this, possibly a like out of this, that'd be super helpful. But outside of that, I just hope you have a great day. Peace out.